Okay, welcome to the Municipality of Thames Centre regular council meeting, Monday, November 8th, 2021 at 1 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions to the agenda, but there were comments received from Donald Cromarty in regards to item number 7.10 on the agenda. The email was circulated by the Deputy Clerk on Friday to all of Council, and the planner will provide a verbal on that once we get to that item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests before we continue? No, seeing none. And then I'm looking for any announcements. So then we're going to move on to presentations, delegations, and petitions. And it's my pleasure to welcome Kim Earls, representing South Central Ontario Region Economic Development Corporation, and for our annual partner update. And Kim, the screen is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure, is it easier if I share the screen or will you share it on that end?
It's preferable if you share, please.
Oh, okay, sure. Sorry about that. So can you see that?
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. All right. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here with you this afternoon. It's my pleasure to give you the partner update on activities that we've been engaged in over the past year or year and a bit. And so I'll start out with SCOR's strategic priorities. And our priorities, we have three main priorities. One is infrastructure, supporting economic development. The second is human capital, supporting economic development. And the third is sector development. And our sector development focus is agriculture and food. So I'll jump right in with infrastructure. So over the past year and a bit, we have actually spent a lot of time focusing on the infrastructure portfolio, and in particular, within that portfolio, transportation related activities. So first, I am pleased to announce that our past chair and mayor of the town of Tillsonburg, Stephen Molnar, was appointed to the Ministry of Transportation's Mayor's Task Force. And that gives us a direct line into collecting information from partners and opening up discussion and conversation and in shaping the master transportation plan for Southwestern Ontario. Additionally, within the transportation portfolio this last while, we have focused a lot on the community transportation initiative. And for those of you that may be unfamiliar, we have coordinated and created the Southwest Community Transit Network. And that is a coordinated body whereby municipal partners have entered into a memorandum of understanding with SCOR EDC to create a collective of independent community transit associations. So often our community transportation associations are serving smaller rural populations or smaller urban centers. And this allows us to maintain our own community branding while being part of a larger branded organization, which is the SCT. And of course, I'm very pleased to remind everyone that Mayor Warwick is indeed the chair of the executive committee of the SCT network. And so this has done a lot of things for community transportation across the region. It's created some efficiencies in our routing, in aligning routing. It's enabled us to create shared requests for proposal, particularly for technology, and we hope to use that for other purchases or needs analysis going forward. And we've also, over the past year, uploaded mapping. So all of our mapping and individual community transportation routes are now uploaded to the Workforce Planning Board's job seeker sites. And we'll be continuing that initiative to expand to further job seeker sites. But right now, if you were to go on, say in the case of Elgin, Middlesex, and Oxford into the Job Hub site, you would be able to see where you could get from Thames Centre to potentially a job in Luke and Biddulph or other communities. And so we really feel that that was a project that was integral to the support of inter-community transportation. And finally, that allows us to connect to larger centers within our borders and to utilize their transportation knowledge and to make sure that we have aligned our systems across the region as much as possible. Finally, within the transportation file, we've undertaken a short line rail project, and that is mainly focused on supporting manufacturing and agricultural operations. It's mainly across the southern portion of the SCORE region. However, there are about 800 jobs attached to that project and that are dependent on short line rail to maintain those operations. And of those 800 jobs, there are approximately 85 that are within Middlesex County, and some of those are also in Thames Centre. So that has again taken up a significant amount of time. And I've kind of jumped ahead of myself a little bit here. This slide goes into a little bit more of the SCT network, but as you can see from the map here on the left of the screen, it sort of shows all of the communities that are participating. So it's not only the SCORE community sort of located here, but we've really engaged and collaborated with communities going west into Sarnia and up into Lambton Shores, as well as engaged other communities, Owen Sound and Grey County, that are looking to connect down into the southern part of the province through into our region and specifically into Middlesex County Thames Centre. So again, as you can imagine, that was a technology dense project, and there's another image there that shows a little bit of a snapshot that I've taken from the Jobs Hub routing so that you can see where the routing is aligned to various jobs. So the balloons, and I apologize, it's a little tricky to see here, but the balloons represent the bus stops and the circles represent employment opportunities or potential employment opportunities. So again, that's the Southwest Community Transit Network. And then we move on to the human capital portion. In this last year and a half, we focused heavily on human capital as it relates to agricultural workforce. Certainly with the outset of the pandemic, there were a lot of uncertainties as to what type of access we would have to seasonal agricultural workforce, in which many of our agricultural and farm operations were largely dependent on. And so we worked with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture and some of our post-secondary institutions to try and create some domestic capacity for our workforce in agriculture. And I'll just review a couple of those. So with Fanshawe College, we have supported and helped in the development of the agribusiness management program, and that is offered at the London campus and the Simcoe campus. And in addition to that, we were able to partner with Conestoga College in the creation of the Agricultural Equipment Operator Program. And that's a 16-week program. Cost, I think, is around $500 per student, which is very reasonable. And they have some hands-on opportunity to learn to operate agricultural equipment. In addition to that, we also partnered with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture on Feeding Your Future project. And you may see some of their ongoing work with the Council of Human Resources for Agriculture in some job fairs and some ongoing activities that they're planning. But SCORE's portion of that was we partnered with 7 commodity organizations to create 9 videos on agricultural training within various sectors. So there's some on berry growing, there's some on apple growing, pork, beef growers of Ontario, and grain farmers of Ontario. And you can find that on both the SCORE website and on the Ontario Federation of Agricultural website. And again, those are activities and projects that are tied back to our human capital strategic initiative, and more specifically in creating that domestic capacity for agricultural workforce. And then sort of hand in hand with that is our sector development. And again, we had the great opportunity to partner with a number of fantastic organizations, being 6x16, which is the youth branch of the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, the OFA itself, Food and Beverage Ontario, and Western University. And the Western University project that we collaborated on was the Fresher project, and that really took an in-depth look at the impact of the pandemic on retail and food establishments through the pandemic, and how that affected their operations. And so I won't go into that report right now, but I encourage you to look at that online. They had some really interesting, but probably not surprising to many of us, information to report back on the severe impacts of the pandemic to the agricultural and food sector. And again, we, in our creation, or the creation of the Always in Season booklet with OFA, it's more of a marketing and promotion piece, and that is that middle image in the center of the slide there. And that was actually, it's more of a marketing and promotion that celebrates local food and agriculture across the SCORE region. And so Middlesex is very heavily featured in that. And finally, we worked with 6x16 to create a coloring book for youth and young people, and to help to start to engage them in agriculture and understanding the importance of agriculture at a very early age. So those can all be found on both our website and on the OFA website, and on the Western University site as well. And then advocacy and connecting. So over the past year, we have had 25 delegations and meetings with cabinet ministers regarding issues that are specific to this region and that fall within the SCORE strategic plan. So those were with Ministry of Infrastructure, Ministry of Transportation, Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Ministry of Training College University, Labor and Skills Development. So we had a wide reach that really, we've really built on that over the years, and had the opportunity to reach out on issues very specific to sometimes individual municipalities and counties, and often more broadly the entire region. So that's been some of the advocacy work. And this past year specifically, we've collaborated with the Elgin Middlesex Oxford Workforce Planning and Development Board on a number of issues related to our workforce issues. We definitely have some outstanding labor shortages, both mainly across agriculture and manufacturing. So we continue to partner with those organizations to seek means to address those issues. And then this last year, we also collaborated with Western Ontario Wardens Caucus. They received funding to access some data on workforce information, and as well as agricultural information. And SCORE staff collected the data, analyzed it, did some dissemination, and reported back to all partners through the WOWC outreach program. And then in addition to our own funding that we were able to leverage, we further supported other organizations and had 12 letters of support that resulted in, it was just over $1 million in leveraged funding for other organizations as well across the region, in various projects that kind of fit within the 3 SCORE priorities. And then I'll just review a little bit about the partnership. So the SCORE partnership has been ongoing now for over a decade. And the partnership, I believe, creates some immediate value. But more importantly than that, it's cumulative over time. And so we've really gained a positive reputation with other levels of government and organizations. We're known to be an organization that can tackle projects and issues that are larger in scale than one municipality or county might wish to take on individually. And yet we're small enough to reach consensus and move forward on areas that we wish to focus on. Again, we've been really successful in attracting and leveraging funding for various issues that have been regional in scale and scope, and the board of directors is governed by 10 elected officials, 2 from each partner counties, and that gives an equal say at the SCORE table. So you really have that active opportunity to shape what's happening, not only in your own municipality, but what's happening regionally as well. And finally, I just wanted to leave you with a final thought on partnership and what SCORE is about. We have accomplished a great deal as a 5-county partnership. And I can very confidently say that the board and certainly myself recognize the organization as good neighbors, working together for the good of all. And that's the extent of my update today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, for providing that update. I think it's really good for all of us at the lower tier to be able to get that information. I mean, I know that some of us are more involved than others, but for other people, it's nice to be able to see what's going on out there and how the partnership between the 5 different areas really promotes the whole area. And I know that you work very hard at this and are really good at obtaining all sorts of funding and different things to keep this SCORE going. So again, a thank you to you for all your hard work that you do. Council, does anybody have any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Elliott?
Yes, through your worship. I just want to highlight the transit work that SCORE has done. And first off, thanks, Kim, for your presentation. When we first got Middlesex, I say we as Middlesex County received the funding for the transit project that we have that runs out of Dorchester and Thorndale in Thames Center into Oxford County and into the City of London. One of the routes that we were approved for was the exact same route that Tillsonburg also got money for. And so when that money came from the province, there was really no forethought into planning this transit. And I remember the first SCORE meeting we went to for this transportation committee, and we sat down with a map of the region and started highlighting with colored markers where all our routes were. And we saw all the overlap and all those missing pieces on the map. And it really was SCORE who brought everyone to the table and filled in those gaps. And that's when we started looking at when we added the stop into Thamesford to get them some transit service. So really, I really do want to highlight all the work SCORE did for that because they played an integral role in adding that intercommunity transit across the region.
Thank you, Kelly. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Patterson?
Yes, question, Mayor Warwick. In terms of the Middlesex County Transit Project, do we have any information yet? I know it hasn't been a project that has been ongoing for that long. Do we have any information on ridership and the costs and the revenue side of that? When is that information coming?
As far as the Middlesex itself, we just know that all our programs have been extended to 2025, and that the cost is borne through this project through the province. So there's no cost to the municipalities or to the county itself. It's a fully funded project. And as far as ridership, I think there should be some more information coming out. Obviously, during the pandemic, ridership is not going to be at its normal levels. So I think we are seeing an increase in ridership now that everybody's back to school at Fanshawe and Western, which are both routes that are on our own bus route. We'll see an increase in that as well. And I can't really speak for the other transit systems that are on, but I know Norfolk's been well established for many years, as well as one other. Maybe Kim, could you fill us in on another, the state of the transit throughout the SCORE region?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor Warwick. And to answer your question, we just to the mayor's point is, we don't have a lot of reliable information that we can confidently project going forward, just because of the circumstances that we've just undergone through the pandemic. But SCORE has actually just recently applied for the Rural Transit Solutions Funds to undertake a inventory of all of our regional systems to see, that we're collecting the data the same across the board, so that we can look at, where are those ridership opportunities, and where are there may be some current routing that is underutilized or maybe under promoted. There's just not an awareness of it. So part of that piece is just collecting the data in a similar way, and certainly just to kind of look at and make sure that we are, as a collective, as a group, supporting each other and investing in the routes that are the most needed or used, and then tweaking our marketing and promotions for maybe the ones that are underutilized, just because there's not an awareness of them. So, but as for the hard data, we really don't have anything that I would say we would be able to use as a good model to project future ridership at this time. I hope that helps answer some of those questions.
Councillor Patterson, is there any other questions? Oh, okay. Deputy Mayor Elliott?
Yes, through your worship. I'll maybe just add in, the Middlesex County project is run through the county under the pilot project that we received the funding for from the province of Ontario. So as Mayor Warwick said, that started as a 4-year pilot project, but the province has extended the funding for an additional 2 years on top of that, knowing that the data that we're receiving over the past 2 years due to COVID is obviously going to be skewed, and we can't depend on the success of this pilot project due to that. But I will say, and maybe just to give the fact that we are constantly looking at this, the Route 2 bus, which is the bus that runs between Dorchester and London, because of ridership feedback, Middlesex County added an additional stop in Nilestown because there was a resident looking for that. And so that has been added. They've also added an extra stop at Argyle Mall in London instead of finishing the route at Dorchester. It now goes to Argyle Mall as well. So it's constantly being reviewed and looking at the best case scenarios and how it fits into the community. So I know Taylor and Cindy at Middlesex County have been constantly reviewing these and adapting it as it needs to be fit so we can see success. And I'll just note the last email I had was just over a month ago, but in the month of August, we had 59 riders on the Middlesex County route.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Elliott. The other thing that I would just like to highlight is, and I think SCORE does a really good job of this, is giving feedback to the province. One of the things that we got the additional funding for 2 more years, which we were very grateful to get. But in response, we pointed out that the playing field has changed considerably since the funding was first announced. Obviously, the cost of living, the cost of gas, trying to find people to drive the buses because the ridership is coming along, but there's not necessarily drivers out there. So the costs are different. And we as SCORE presented to the province that, and they have acknowledged that. And we are working towards on making those changes as well. So I think that's a really valuable point, that it's not the same place we were when it was first announced. Kim, I don't know if you have anything to add to that or not.
No, I thank you for the opportunity, but I think you've you've covered it really well. I will say that the advocacy efforts of the scoreboard really, I believe, were instrumental in receiving that additional extension of the provincial pilot program funding as well. And that's something that I'm really proud of to be a part of this organization, is not only as a planning and strategic regional opportunities, but also an action-oriented organization. But thank you very much for allowing me to address that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? No, okay. Well, once again, it was very nice to see you, Kim. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're going to be visiting all of the lower tiers, which I think is what, how many?
28.
28. So you'll have this done in your sleep by the time you're done with it all. So again, thank you. And I look forward to talking to you later. Bye now.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and moving on to the consent agenda. Oh, yes, sorry. We have a presentation, and can we have a motion to receive that for information? Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Patterson. All in favor? Okay. And then we have the consent agenda. So in the consent agenda, the items are considered routine and may require discussion, but no action on the part of council. Consent items are received for information in one motion. Council members may request that one or more item be removed for further action. And it looks to me like we just have the regular council minutes here. So I'm looking for a mover for that. Councillor Hunter, Deputy Mayor Elliott seconded. All in favor? Okay, and reports of the departments. Our first one is F01521 dog licensing program. And I see our financial guru is on the screen. So Ms. Grogan, go ahead. If this is your report, please go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. The report on dog licensing program is before council with a recommendation from staff that all costs of dog licensing be included in the general tax levy, and that the practice of charging a fee for dog licenses discontinue effective January 1st, 2022. The municipality currently issues permanent dog tags and follows up those dog tags with the issuance of an annual invoice at the beginning of each year for dogs that are registered. Many dog owners fail to register their animals with the municipality or fail to provide notification of changes to their ownership. Without dedicated resources to patrol through increased bylaw enforcement, owners are not motivated to actually register their dogs. The intake of licensing has decreased considerably over the past 5 years. And as of today, we're carrying approximately $5,300 in accumulated unpaid licenses. Staff are recommending, again, that the cost for animal control become part of the general tax levy effective January 1st, 2022. Thames Centre, like most municipalities, continues to require mandatory licensing. Owners who choose not to license their dogs will be subject to fines. The recommended change will encourage residents to license their pets, ensuring that bylaw enforcement has more time to concentrate on animal control issues, such as dangerous dogs, dogs running at large, and other activities that affect the health and safety of the public. While we anticipate a significant initial intake in licensing as a result of a program transition from annual billing for dog licensing to permanent licensing without user fees, the transition would eventually provide a reduction in licensing activities, allowing staff to spend additional time on other activities. The anticipated loss of revenues resulting from the elimination of fees would translate in 2022 to approximately less than 1/4% of the tax levy. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Okay. Any questions, council, regarding this? No, I think it's correct. Like, I mean, dog owners generally are a responsible bunch and take care of their dogs. But, you know, as far as nuisance dogs or dogs that are on the loose, we're all responsible for that. Like, I mean, that is something that happens all the time. You don't have to have a dog to have a dog loose on your property and invoke costs associated with our are people picking that up? So I think it's a good way to spread it. I know that it's a lot of staff time to chase down people who have dogs, because when you knock on somebody's door and asking them if they have dogs or not, it's not always the answer that you're looking for. So I think it's obviously something that's been happening in other townships. I think, did you say that Middlesex Center and who else has it in place already?
Yes, Middlesex Center, Strathroy, Caradoc, and Lucan Badolf have all moved towards raising animal control costs through their general tax levy.
Okay, thank you. Question, Councillor Patterson?
Yes, Mayor Work. What is the actual dollar value of lost revenue that if we decide to move with this recommendation?
So the loss of revenue is approximately $26,000. That is the budgeted revenue without consideration that a portion of those fees become uncollectible, just solely due to the fact that the owners have not provided updates to the municipality on the status of those dogs.
Councillor Patterson?
Yes, Mayor Work. Many of our services that we've been providing for years and for decades, maybe even for centuries, have always been on general tax levy. But the last sort of decade or so, we've been moving out, whether it's wastewater, water, even now stormwater sewers. We've been moving those out of general tax levy, and garbage too. So people pay for what they use. So what do we say to somebody who doesn't have a dog, and we're asking them to pay for this $26,000 loss of revenue? What do we say to them that who don't own a dog?
So
CEO
again,
Henry?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
CEO Henry just indicated he wanted to answer, so I'm going to let him go ahead, Kim.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm sure the Director of Finance has something to add to this as well. This is very much comparable, Councillor Patterson, to many of our roads. You'll have residents and constituents that don't use the roads, they don't drive. Many don't use the flight exec center. And I think when you were referencing the dog tags and comparing them to garbage tags, I think you meant the opposite, because in this case, we're putting it into the levy, not taking it out and charging a separate service. We're just looking to blanket this across. As Director Grogan pointed out, there is $26,000 in lost revenue that comes from this, but in moving the staff into more appropriate places to provide service to the community, we're actually going to gain back about $12,000 of that, which would take us to $14,000 of an upside down figure. And we haven't seen the residual effect of providing service more appropriately in separate areas. I think you can agree with me, if we went and we hired even a part-time individual to chase the dog tags around, we would be losing money on just the revenue alone by having someone collect on a part-time basis. I hope that answers everything you were looking for there.
Yes, it does. Thanks, Mr. Henry.
And I think the other thing that we need to make sure that the residents understand is you don't have to own a dog to complain about dogs on the property or dog that's injured and someone has to come out and pay that. That's sort of something that we can't control individually. And so I think it's something that as a collective unit, we make sure that those services are provided. Okay, so we have a recommendation in front of us, and we've got council received the report and that the cost for dog licensing is being included in the general tax levy, and the practice of charging a fee for dog licenses discontinue effective January 1st, 2022, and that bylaw 6-218 be brought forward to a future meeting of council with updates related to the discontinuation of dog licensing. So looking for a mover, Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? Okay, so carried. Thank you. Now we're on to 7.2 F01621 financial results to September 30th, 2021. And Director Grogan, go ahead.
Thank you again, Your Worship, and through you. My report provides council with financial reporting to September 30th, 2021. This is the third quarterly report for 2021. It is provided in the same format as past reports and as council would have seen in our budget. While again, it's difficult to predict the year-end financial position due to the timing of account allocations, year-end audit entries, capital funding transactions, and the timing of some reconciliations of accounts. I can comment that all departmental comparisons are within budget at this time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, any specific questions for Director Grogan? No, seeing none. So we have a recommendation that council receive the report from the Director of Financial Services dated November 8th, 2021 for the financial results to September 30th, 2021 for information. Looking for a mover, Councillor Hunter, seconded by Deputy Mayor Elliott. All in favor? Okay. Now our next report is admin C00821, proposed 2022 fees and charges. And you're speaking to this, Ms. Michaels, yeah? Okay.
Yes. So the proposed 2022 fees and charges were prepared in coordination with all the department heads. Public notice was provided on the municipal website on October 28th. We've received no comments or feedback from that. There are certain fees and rates included in the bylaw that are indexed by CPI. The rate for it's a rate September over September each year, and the September 2020 to September 2021 index calculates to 4.4%. And these are applied to a lot of the recreation fees, environmental services fees, and also the cemetery. Some of the changes have been highlighted on the schedules, as well as the report describes all the changes that have been made. And if the council has any questions, we are all here to answer those for you.
Okay. So generally, we're looking at just cost of living. Okay.
Yes. There are also some other changes. The dog licensing changes that were just approved by council have been incorporated. There are some cemetery increased prices too. And I believe that there's also some changes to wording for recreation for times and such.
Okay, thank you. So council, any questions regarding this updated list? Nope. Okay, so now we're looking for a motion that this be received for information. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? Okay, so moved. And moving to 7.4, admin C00721, 2022 conferences. And this is Ms. Michaels again.
It's me as well. Yes, there is a schedule attached to the report with all the 2022 conferences that have been scheduled virtually. Some are in person, some are hybrid at this time. It's in the policy that requires approval from council through resolution for council to attend these conferences and workshops next year.
Okay, any questions or comments about the change of dates for 2022? No? Okay, looking for a that the report be received for information and that members of council be authorized to register and attend 2022 conferences subject to compliance with the municipality's attendance at conferences and conventions, seminars, and workshops policy, noting that funds will be allocated in the 2022 budget for this purpose, and that new members of council advise the clerk's department by November 30th, 2022 on which conferences they would like to be registered for. I think we're still looking for dates for Roma. Is that correct? Or have they got their dates?
Roma has been included as January 24th
Oh, okay.
to 25th.
All right, good. Okay, so looking for a mover. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? Okay. So moved. So C00921, the 2022 council meeting dates.
Yes, before you is a calendar that has all the council meeting and conferences scheduled for 2022. There has been only one meeting for council placed in February due to some of the conferences and the Family Day long weekend there. So there's one meeting being proposed for council in February. And also with the election being next year, the new term of council takes effect November 15th. So some of those dates have been incorporated in the calendar as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions, concerns? Councillor Patterson?
Maybe I missed this, but normally the new council starts in December. Has that been changed? Did I miss that by the province or by our policy? Maybe someone can help me understand why we're moving from November to December.
Yes, I can answer that. Yes, that was changed by provincial legislation after the 2018 elections. And you were correct. It used to be December 1st, and now it's the new term begins November 15th.
Okay, any, yep, Councillor Patterson?
I noticed that there's a meeting on February 14th. Can we move that to a Tuesday to the next day? Or even the Wednesday, the 16th?
Is it a day meeting or is it an evening meeting? Just I'm not sure what county council is for that and the other dates.
Yeah,
that would be
county
the
council would be
Tuesday.
the Tuesday meeting.
A Wednesday could be Kettle Creek. I'd have to get back. I have to check my schedule too to be able to say yes or no to that. We're just checking our calendars, Chris, while we're. Do you see anything?
I don't really necessarily have a conflict. It's just I have a spouse, so and February 14th is kind of an important day.
Yeah, I understand that. It's usually your day to make up for everything else that you've done throughout the year. I know it takes a full day sometimes to get up with that, but I think maybe that's something we could discuss in January. Is that something that we could wait until then and look at everybody's schedules then? Just because I hesitate to change it right off the bat because of some other meetings that are ongoing. But I just want to recognize that it is a day meeting. So hopefully if it does end up being on the 14th, we could have a light schedule and go ahead and get back to making up with everybody. So if Chris, go ahead.
I have two conflicts on May the 30th and June the 27th. Just for the record.
Okay.
If we want to change them, I'm open to that. If council doesn't want to, well, I've recorded that I have two conflicts for those 2 days.
Okay, so I don't want to, I certainly want to make sure that everybody's able to attend, but I think what we'll do instead of discussing changing them today, we can go ahead and do that closer to the date if needed. That way we don't get bogged down about what dates and everybody looking to see what other ones. I'm glad you're prepared though with the dates that you're unable to attend, because that makes the decision easier when we go forward. Is that all right with you, Councillor Patterson?
No, I'd rather change them now, but that's up to council and you what you want to do. Because we're approving those dates now, and I'm letting you know that on May the 30th and June the 27th, those are conflicts for me.
Okay. The thing is, I don't really know until we have our other, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Elliott.
Just for ease of trying to figure this out and trying to balance quite a few calendars and other like county council meetings, etc. Are you proposing a different day that you would like, or because I'm just wondering, like, are we just throwing out days here, or what? How are we moving forward with this?
I'd be open to move it to Tuesday, but there's always been apprehension about moving it from Monday. But I don't see any reason why moving it from the 30th to the 31st in May, and then in June, 27th to the 28th.
Okay, go ahead, CEO Henry.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I can just interject into this, administration put this together based on history, and we've always had our planning meeting that last Monday of the month. That's something that's never changed over quite some time, to my understanding, and it certainly was in place when I arrived in this municipality. So I think this was just to give a broad overview of what the year would look like in a snapshot form. The meetings are certainly able to be changed on the fly and can be done as quick as, as late as the meeting before if necessary. But this was just to kind of give everybody a broad overview of what it looked like and past history has dictated. So if that helps in my comments over some of those dates, it's just something to consider. The residents and ratepayers of the neighborhood have certainly come to know when our meetings are and kind of plan according to that when they're making efforts with us.
I do want to add that the night meetings for planning, those ones are a little bit more difficult to change just because there is a 20-day notice requirement for those nights. So that's just something to be mindful of when choosing dates.
Just for ease of not getting bogged down and having anyone watching this meeting grapple over scheduling dates, are we able to approve these and within the next, knowing that these are essentially dates that the administration has put out historically, via email, work through everyone's schedules? If there is potential days that Councillor Patterson wants to change that are conflicts, can we as a council and staff work through this via email outside of this meeting?
We could take a poll for those dates. Our procedural bylaw does state that normally these meetings are held on Mondays. We have, however, in the past moved some to a Wednesday because of the statutory holiday following on a Monday, but that's just something to consider as well. If there are two dates, the ones that Councillor Patterson has mentioned here is May 30th and June 27th. I could take a poll, but I would like to say that for administration purposes, having those meetings back to back, that is a little difficult to plan for because it's agenda after agenda. So those are just things to keep in mind. But if that's what council directs, then we can do that.
Yeah, I think I'd feel more comfortable just leaving the dates and then trying to work out a later thing, because it's not just county council that we have other boards that we attend and other planning sessions. So it's without checking what their schedule is in 2022, I hesitate to start changing things around at this point in time. So in to sensitivity to Councillor Patterson's conflicts, we will work on moving forward with that, but I just don't feel comfortable changing them at the moment. CEO Henry.
Thank you, Your Worship. What I would recommend right now is that we adopt the calendar for 2022 and that you direct staff to work on a polling method for the two conflict dates of May 30th and June 27th in order to make some sort of alteration there potentially. And we can pull that out on a separate over the coming 30 days or so.
Okay, so everybody comfortable with that? Okay, Councillor Patterson, are you okay with that? Yep. Okay. All right. So knowing that we've added that we're going to review the dates stated by Councillor Patterson, I'm just looking for a motion now that the report be received for information and that the calendar be attached and approved. And direct, yeah, that's what we said at the beginning. So the poll will be added to that. Okay. So mover, Councillor Hunter, seconded by Deputy Mayor Elliott. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Now moving on to CS 1421, the agreement with Great Lake, I was going to say basketball, slap me, Great Lake Canadians baseball. And welcome, Director McDonald.
Good afternoon, Council. Through you, Your Worship, report number CS 014-21 is before Council for your consideration. This report is regarding the formalization of the municipality's ongoing partnership with Great Lake Canadians Baseball Incorporated. This report includes a summary of the numerous one-time projects, seasonal maintenance, and ongoing day-to-day maintenance items that GLC has been assisting with at the York Baseball Diamond over the past 8 seasons. Thus far, the value of their contributions has topped $165,000, not including the rental fees that they pay, nor the benefits from 2 successful grants that they assisted with. The proposed agreement specifies the ongoing responsibilities for the municipality and for GLC. It specifies their insurance requirements. It includes indemnification and holding Thames Center harmless with regards to GLC activities. And Section 8 of the agreement provides the benefits that GLC would begin to receive as a result of all of their ongoing efforts. As well, in the event that the new artificial turf diamond is approved in the 2022 capital budget, this report also provides what would be added to the agreement with regards to GLC's responsibilities with the new diamond and what added benefits they would receive with this new ballpark. I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have about the report or the proposed agreement.
Any questions? Councillor Patterson?
Yes, Mayor Works. So GLC will take ownership of both diamonds. Is that correct? Or just the new one if council approves it?
Go ahead, Director McDonald.
Yes, no, they would not be taking ownership of either. Basically, they right now for many years have been doing lots of work with no benefits at the existing diamond, and whether or not we proceed with a second diamond or not, they would be using both diamonds ultimately if we do proceed with the second diamond, and they would continue the work at the existing diamond as well as help with the maintenance at the new diamond and continue to use both diamonds.
Okay. Is that Councillor Patterson?
Yes, Mayor Worth. One of the issues that's been brought to my attention, and I don't know, I don't know the data on this, but they say that GLC uses that existing diamond that we have now, and the kids, the minor baseball, have no access to it at all. So I'm concerned about if we give them 2 diamonds, will the kids in Dorchester actually have an opportunity to form a league and play on any one of these fields?
Go ahead, Director McDonald.
Yeah, I can't tell you for sure how much time minor ball has on the current diamond right now, but all indications to me are that minor ball does use it. The Great Lake Canadians certainly doesn't have the diamond to themselves. And as well, one of the 2 main people on the Great Lake Canadians, Chris Robinson, is local and very involved with Dorchester minor ball. So he always has their best interests in mind as well, I know.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Elliott.
Yeah, I'll maybe just add, Dorchester minor ball actually had quite a bit of use during this past summer on that diamond. And I know that Great Lakes Canadians were playing their home games out of St. Mary's, London, Woodstock, and everywhere else in order for Dorchester minor ball to use that ball diamond because Dorchester minor ball had such a shortened season. So I know that Great Lakes Canadians barely had any access to that ball diamond during the summer period.
Okay. Any other comments, questions regarding this report? Councillor Patterson?
Yeah, just trying procedurally, Mayor Work. How do we approve an agreement without actually having the ball diamond? Like, is there a cart and horse here? Like, I don't want to get too ahead of, where we got to be.
Well, I does say in the event as part of the motion, so I think that probably covers that, but I see Director McDonald has his hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just to expand on what the mayor just said. So the agreement before you does not include any details with the second diamond, because I didn't want to bring council an agreement that's partially speculative. So the current agreement you'd be agreeing to today is just for the existing diamond. And then discussion of the proposed second diamond is only included within the report itself, just as a precursor to what would happen, what will happen if we proceed with the second diamond.
Any other discussion? Not seeing none. So we have a motion, and I'll just read through it carefully here, that council received report CS 1421, an agreement with Great Lake Canadian Baseball Incorporated for information, and that council approves the attached agreement, and that in the event council approves a new artificial turf baseball diamond in the 2022 capital budget, that this agreement has the following conditions added. All of the same benefits for GLC is already included in the agreement for the existing diamond, but applied to the new diamond. And the artificial turf diamond will become the official Great Lake Canadians home diamond, and the GLC logo will be placed on the turf field with size and location to be finalized between GLC and municipal staff. Okay, I think that pretty well covers everything. So looking for a mover.
Just one question.
Yeah,
Mayor
go ahead.
Many of our facilities, we charge for commercial businesses to put logos or, rink boards or sponsors a room. This one, there's no cost to GLC to this. So why are they different than any other business who would, sponsor or advertise in one of our facilities?
Okay, I think wheelchair rugby comes to my mind, but Director McDonald, you have your hand up.
Yeah, the difference is just that Great Lake Canadians provide services in lieu of paying for an advertisement.
Okay.
Okay, so I would move the agreement with the Great Lakes Canadian Baseball CS 014-21.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Hunter, all in favor? All right. Moving on to now, thank you, Director McDonald. Moving on to CS 1521, the management of gypsy moths, which I think we're actually supposed to say LDD moths now. And that I actually did have a conversation with Councillor Heeman about this, and it wasn't necessarily the political sensitivity of it. It was the fact that so many subspecies of moths that they've moved to, really pinning them down. So there is your answer for that. And go ahead, Director McDonald.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, report number CS 015-21 is before council for your consideration. This report provides information and a recommendation regarding dealing with the LDD moths in Thames Centre. The presence and effects of these moths has grown across Middlesex County over the past few years. As a result, Thames Centre staff thought it prudent to consider options and measures in advance of the 2022 budget. In conversation with the County Woodlands Conservation Officer, Mr. Mark Brown, he has advised that the volume of calls and concerns from Thames Centre residents is roughly 1/4 of the amount of concerns compared to at least a few of the other municipalities within our county. Furthermore, Mr. Brown has indicated that all indications are that we are probably on the downslope of this population boom, meaning it's should start to decrease. A final consideration is the fact that this moth is a deciduous tree stressor rather than a tree killer. By referring to the images on pages 20 through 21 of Mark's report that is attached, a report he took to County Council, you can see how quickly a forest bounced back from defoliation caused by these moths in just over 4 weeks' time. It's pretty amazing. At the county level, Mr. Brown has recommended a passive management response. For a consistent approach with the county, and based on the other factors I just mentioned, I believe that the same approach is most prudent for Thames Centre. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions regarding this report? And I would agree that was a fairly fulsome report that Mr. Brown presented. It was basically everything you wanted to know about LDD moths, but we're afraid to ask. So, okay, we're looking now for a report for information, and also that we support taking the passive management response to the LDD gypsy moth concerns. Deputy Mayor Elliott, moved, seconded by Councillor Hunter, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Now we have PWES 01021, Thorndale DWS 2021 MECP inspection report. And I see Director Craven is on the screen and ready to take the report. Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Before you report PWES 10-21 titled the Thorndale DWQ or DWS 2021 MECP inspection report is a brief summary of the annual on-site inspection of the Thorndale water treatment facility and distribution system, including the Thorndale elevated storage tank. This inspection covers a period from July 1st, 2020 to July 31st, 2021. A copy of the inspection report has also been provided. This and every inspection report covers every minute detail from recording amounts of daily water taking to chlorine residual levels in the plant and throughout the water system to operating procedures and steps taken when connecting a new subdivision's water main to the existing drinking water system. The layout of the ministry's inspection report is quite different from other years in that they've moved from recording their findings in point form to now a more user or owner friendly layout of describing in sentence form their observations and notes. They've also delayed the inspection rating report because of an IT issue. They promised this inspection rating report would be sent to us within a few weeks, and that's the MOE's report card, the percentage that we've got, high percentage in the past there. This year's inspection reports noted 2 best practices or opportunities for improvement. Staff agreed with both issues and have already revised their operating procedures to address these findings. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Craven? I think it's a pretty straightforward report. Not a lot of options there. No. Okay, so a mover to accept the report. Councillor Hunter, seconded by Deputy Mayor Elliott. All in favor? Okay. Moving on now to PWES 01121 DWQMS 2021 Management Review. And there should be a quiz about all of these acronyms after this meeting is over. Go ahead, Director Craven.
Great, thank you, and I apologize. Before you, PWES 11-21 is the Drinking Water Quality Management System 2021 Management Review. And it's just a brief summary of the performance of both drinking water systems in Thames Center. The DWQMS was developed in partnership between the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks and Ontario's water sector. This annual review covers a period between March 10th, 2020 and October 29th, 2021. As a part of the municipal drinking water licensing program, Thames Center is required to establish a drinking water specific quality management system based on the requirements set out in the drinking water quality management DWQMS standards. The DWQMS requires that municipalities have an operational plan detailing how we are complying with the plan, do, check, and improve components of the DWQMS. The municipality's operational plan is comprised of 21 elements. Element number 20 titled Management Review outlines the requirements and processes involved in performing the town's QMS management review. Council is considered the system owner for the purposes of the DWQMS. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, looking for a motion then to receive this report for information. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Now we're moving on to we've done that one. Okay, so we're on to 7.10. Is that correct? Yep, okay. PDS 06821, applications for draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment regarding Vistawood Estates Limited, the applicant being Kirkness Consulting, and the address being 2429 Dorchester Road, Dorchester. And I see Director Bancroft on the screen.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of council. So the purpose of this report is to provide an evaluation of the subject applications to facilitate the residential development of the lands through primarily through a plan of subdivision. This proposal was presented at a public meeting of Municipal Council back on November 23rd of 2020. So this report includes a summary of public and agency consultation comments, along with recommendations for council's consideration. So the subject property is a 50-acre parcel of land located in the village of Dorchester on the south side of Byron Avenue and on the west side of Dorchester Road. For the most part, these lands are designated for growth and development, save and except for portions of the property that back onto the mill pond and its associated water course. So those lands are designated a protection area and environmental area and are not subject to development. It's also important to note, Your Worship, that there's a small portion of the property that is located within a wellhead protection area, and that would be closer to the southeast corner of the property. From a zoning standpoint, the bulk of the property is zoned future development, along with there's a site-specific commercial zone also at the northeast corner of the site, with again, areas adjacent to Mill Pond and its upstream creek. They are not subject to any development opportunities because they are zone environmental protection, and they are to be kept in their natural state. So with this proposal, the developer is proposing 41 single detached lots with frontages of about 60 feet or 18 meters. Also, what is being proposed are 2 medium density residential blocks to support townhouse development along Dorchester Road, with no direct access proposed onto Dorchester Road, but rather through the internal road network. There's also another block that is proposed for residential development. Initially, it was to accommodate townhouse development. That would be the one that is situated at the south end of the property, which would be accessible from the boardwalk at Mill Pond subdivision. That block of land is now proposed to accommodate single detached dwellings. And that was in response by the developer due to concerns raised during the public consultation process. We also have, as part of the draft plan, a block of land to support a stormwater management pond, also another block that would contain natural heritage features that would remain undeveloped. And we've got, lastly, one final block which contains the owner's private gardens, which is to remain under private ownership. As well, Your Worship, there's been a number of studies provided by the applicant in support of the proposal, dealing with an environmental impact study, geotechnical assessment, and so on and so forth. So from a zoning standpoint, what is being requested is an R1-17 zone for those single detached lots, along with that block adjacent to the boardwalk at Mill Pond subdivision. We also have a site-specific R3 category requested for those townhouse development blocks along Dorchester Road. And then also an open space zone to recognize the existing gardens that are being retained by the applicant, and also the stormwater management pond. And areas zoned environmental protection are to remain unchanged. Just moving right along, Your Worship, in terms of the agency and public consultation process, we did receive from an agency standpoint quite a number of comments from Canada Post, the county engineer, the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, 2 school boards having jurisdiction in the municipality, as well as utility companies, as well as staff, and also from Middlesex County's Health and Safety Standards Officer. In all, those comments have been addressed or they're capable of being addressed through conditions of draft plan approval. In terms of public comments, we did receive feedback from a Brian Boss along with a Kyle and Caitlin Elliott. Their concerns appear to have been addressed, considering they were most concerned about the future development block adjacent to the Mill Pond subdivision, in that they were concerned about having median density forms of housing, but that is no longer the case based on the developer's revised application. I also have a concern, as noted in my report, from a Priscilla Langyer in regards to overall about proposed medium density residential housing being out of character with the community. Also, my report, Your Worship, there's a summary of the minutes of the public meeting that was held back on November 23rd, 2020, followed by my analysis in my review of the draft plan along with the related rezoning. In all, Your Worship, I'm satisfied that the planning framework has been met in terms of having development occur within a fully serviced settlement area, so on municipal water and on sanitary sewers, as well as demonstrating efficient land use and infrastructure subject to appropriate forms of density. Although my report makes reference to some recommended changes to the draft plan in great detail, I'm just going to skip over to the recommendation, if I could, to point out some revisions to my report, which sort of have happened after the publication of the agenda. So first part of the recommendation is that the municipality recommend the issuance of draft plan approval to Middlesex County in regards to the conditions that are appended to my report, provided that the draft plan is revised based on the revisions that are noted. So on page 252 of 290, we've got revisions A, B, C, and D. And I should point out that the developer is in agreement of revising the plan accordingly in regards to those points. Moving right along to the other four that are noted in my report, I should make a note that with block 45, which is the stormwater management pond, the developer's engineer has brought it to our attention that rather than 6 meters, they actually need more like 9 meters to be able to accommodate the necessary storm sewers and access off of the internal road to the stormwater management pond from a maintenance standpoint. So our Director of Public Works is supportive of making that change under E from 6 meters to actually 9 meters. There's no issue with F in terms of the reconfiguration of lot 16. As it applies to item G, upon further review, this requirement was originally requested by our Director of Community Services and Facilities. However, considering the proximity of the stormwater management pond and its ability also to facilitate a connection to our trail network, I don't foresee the need to include this walkway block. So my recommendation would be to exclude item G from the list. And I did run this by our Director of Community Services and Facilities, and he has no concerns with that approach. And then lastly, in terms of item H, the developer, Mr. Cromarty, he provided a written submission as alluded to by the clerk at the commencement of our council meeting, dated November 4th and provided to members of council prior to this meeting. And so he had outlined some concerns primarily dealing with my request to have the single detached lots reduced in frontage to 60 meters as opposed to 18 meters as requested by the developer. Based on that letter provided by Mr. Cromarty, I am now recommending that item H be deleted and that it no longer apply. Considering the developer is proposing the 3 future development blocks, which would offer residential development opportunities at a higher density. So in all, I'm satisfied with, generally satisfied with the lotting of the single detached lots as is. So just to be clear, Your Worship, we've got changes noted items A through H, and now we're dealing with, as recommended, items A through F, with the change of item E from 6 meters to 9 meters. And then lastly, my recommendation that the zoning bylaw amendment application be approved in principle, subject to the changes noted in my recommendation, and that staff be directed to forward the implementing bylaw for council's consideration once the county has issued draft plan approval. And also that given the foregoing zoning changes, that no further notice be required under the Planning Act. I'm here to answer any questions, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director Bancroft, I do want to say thank you for your hard work, because I know you work very diligently on this and cover all the bases and are always there as a reliable source of information and listen to both parties. I just want to throw this out to council. We got this report on Thursday and are making a decision about it on Monday. And this is not a simple decision like dog licenses or different things where we have to just weigh some benefits. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't like deferrals, but at this point in time, I would feel comfortable with waiting and getting more information. Not only do we not have full council here today, so I think it would be fair to wait till we have full council, but just to see how this development relates to the other ones that are right beside it. It's not like a development that's far away, such in Thorndale where it has no effect, but we have 3 developments happening in a very small area. And I really do think it's important for us to understand perfectly what's happening with all of those 3 developments. So council, it's just a comment, and I would like to hear your thoughts on whether that's significant or not. Deputy Mayor Elliott.
Through your worship, I had a very extensive discussion this morning with our director of planning as well as our CAO in regards to how we're looking at development in our community. I think it is fair to say we have been getting quite a bit of public feedback in regards to development, specifically in Dorchester, and how we are taking the approach of growing our community. I think there are lots of different camps in where people sit in development, whether they don't support any development whatsoever. We had another resident post on social media today that we have another couple that has lived in Dorchester for 40 years that is now moving to London because they can't find anywhere to rent in Dorchester. We've heard feedback from young families who can't afford to come into Dorchester or to stay into Dorchester to live because of the pricing and that there isn't housing available to them. And so I think that as a council as a whole and as a community, we really need to take a holistic approach on how we move forward and what exactly our community needs, what that looks like. I think we need to take a better look at what we have available as tools as a council to address affordability and attainability as housing, because that is massive. I know I was talking about bonusing to our director of planning, and I like to think that I know I'm keeping up with everything that's changing so quickly. And he informed me that we can no longer do bonusing. So obviously I'm out of touch. And when we approved subdivisions like we did in Thorndale with whether it be Foxborough or Y Creek or Rosewood, even planning has changed in the last 6 months, not let alone the last 2 years or the last 10 years when Y Creek was approved. And I think we're in the middle of reviewing our official plan. At the county level, we have a committee struck that I sit on as well, where we're looking at how do we add teeth to our planning to address a lot of these issues. And if anyone's interested, the report from our first meeting is on county council's agenda for tomorrow, so you can find that online. And so I think we need to take just a deep breath and look at this from a holistic approach of development and how we move forward. And Director Bancroft had made the comment to me earlier, my recommendation might not change in a few months, and that may be the case, but maybe, and because this was brought forward under different planning framework, we might not be able to put the new OP lens on this, but at the very least, we can see what we're approving here, how that plays in across the street at Hawthorne or at other developments. So I would be supportive of deferring this so we can, as a council, have further discussions on how we move forward as a community, because we can't take a siloed approach to all of these developments. We really have to look how each development impacts our community, as well as what it offers to our community, to make sure we're addressing all of the needs that we have.
Okay, thank you. And I think in saying that, in no way is it a concern about the developer. We know that this developer has long history of homes in Dorchester, as well as charitable things like the library expansion and the different things. It's just a matter of, life is going fast, and we need to see where we're at. And that's my thought on that. So is there anybody else that would like to comment? Sir Hunter?
Thanks, Mayor Work. Through you, I would echo the comments of the deputy mayor. I think we maybe need to take a step back and just take a real hard look at what's going on and where we think we need to be, and just take some time to do that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Patterson, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, a question, Mayor Work. With respect to block 42, which is medium density, it says R1-17, but the 41 lots are also designated R1-17. So what's proposed to go into block 42?
Go ahead, Mr. Bancroft.
Thank you, Your Worship. So with block 42, Councillor Patterson, single detached dwellings are proposed. So with R1-17, it only allows for single detached dwellings. So that's what's being proposed within that block.
Did you have another question, Councillor Patterson? Muted. Councillor Patterson, we can't hear. There you go.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, I do have a few more questions. With respect to block 44, which is R3-8, does that zoning, does that allow for the condo style, like single floor condos, similar to what's at Valley View, which is quite popular?
So through you, Your Worship, the zoning would not prevent something like that from occurring, so certainly it would be allowed.
Go ahead, Councillor Patterson.
Okay, I think one more question. In the proposal, it talks about 18-meter frontages for the 41 lots at I forget what block. I'm not sure what block that is. But anyways, the 41, which is 60 feet. And then later in the report, it talks about it being 15 meters for the R1-17. So I'm just concerned about the proposal says 18, and in the same report, a couple pages later, it says 15 meters. So what are they asking for? Or what is the director?
So through you, your worship, they are requesting 18 meters. And the 15 meters or 50 feet is simply a reflection of what the minimum lot frontage requirement is under the bylaw, under the R1-17 zone.
Any other questions, Councillor Patterson?
No, I think I think I've figured out everything for now. That's great. Thank you, Mayor Work.
Okay, thank you. All right, Council. So Deputy Mayor Elliott, did you have your hand up?
I'm ready to make a motion, but when
Okay. I just, again, looking at the map, I still have lots of questions that not necessarily are going to be answered in this short amount of time. And I guess my questions too are in relation to the other developments, which again is information that we need to talk about a little bit fuller. So I would entertain the motion to defer this to a later date.
I'll make the motion, Mayor Work, and I do have one more question. I just thought of it now.
Okay, so you go ahead with your question. Deputy Mayor Elliott, I think, had made the motion, but you can definitely be a seconder.
Then I will second it, yes.
Okay, so go ahead with your question.
In respect to block 44, R3-8, my understanding is that this was going to be like a commercial area because it's on the main Dorchester Road coming into town. Can someone sort of give me insight on why that has changed?
So through you, your worship, by a previous council, those lands were redesignated to a special policy area, which allows for either commercial development opportunities along Dorchester Road at Byron Avenue, or medium density residential. And so the developer is simply abiding by that direction offered by the official plan.
Satisfied with that answer, Councillor Patterson?
I'm always satisfied with Mr. Bancroft's answers.
Okay, great. That's good. Good to know. He usually does a good job. Deputy Mayor Elliott, go ahead.
Yes, through your worship. I realize that you took my hand up as a motion, and so I might need a friendly amendment from Councillor Patterson, only because I don't want to leave this hanging. I do want to defer this. I do want to have further discussions, but I don't want this to be a never-ending piece. And so, two parts. I would like to add to my motion to defer this to direct our CAO to set up a visioning session with council to have further discussions on how we see our community growing, so that we can have a fulsome discussion about this, as well as I'd like to set a date, a time frame of when this would come back, knowing that this might be somewhat difficult, but we do have our official plan under review right now, which we hope to have back for the new year as well. So I'm wondering, I don't want to go too far, but I do also want to give us time. So I'm wondering if we can possibly set a decision date in March, if that seems fair. That kind of gives us a few months to work through this, but also gives a deadline for it to come back. And so that way, Mr. Cromarty and his agent know they aren't going to be left hanging for quite a while. I don't know if staff wants to address that.
Okay, I just want to clarify before we go ahead. I know you have your hand up, Councillor Patterson, but we're looking, so I just want to make sure that I understand the motion. The motion is to defer with the amendment that we have a visioning session with council to discuss basically what our plans are as the official plan and different things, and some education session, knowing exactly what we're doing here. And then also that the next part of the motion would be to give it a time limit. So maybe not later than, maybe the way that we handle that is that, March 30th, this should be back in front of us by then. Councillor Patterson, I did see you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I'd be open to that motion, but I think over a quarter of the year would be too long. So I would prefer a meeting in February rather than March.
Do you have a?
Sorry, Councillor Patterson, I was just going to let staff, before I amended that motion for a friendly amendment, I was going to just let staff maybe address that to make sure that's fair, because I'm fine with February or March. I just kind of wanted to give it that time frame, but if staff wants to entertain what they feel may be fair.
CEO Henry, do you have a comment on that?
Thank you, Your Worship. I was going to suggest the first quarter of next year at some point, but earlier in the year is just fine. I know where Director Bancroft is with this whole proposal and what's forthcoming with the official plan and the changes. Councillor Patterson, I now have a renewed value for your concern of dates in the 2022. But I will. I'll look probably a date prior to the middle of March or middle of February, rather, into the new year.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Elliott.
Okay, so I will officially amend my motion to state that this application be deferred and be brought back to council no later than the last day in February of 2022, and that CIO Henry be directed to arrange a visioning session with council to discuss planning and development in our community.
Okay.
And if that's okay with Councillor Patterson.
Councillor Patterson, does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? All right, so I guess we'll break the news to Tom when he gets back and then go from there. All right, so moving on now to, Mayor's report. Just a second. All right, so dating from October 5th, I attended the SCORE meeting that was held in person in Norfolk County. In October 6th, I attended the Kettle Creek Kettle Creek and the special events meeting, which I think was at the same time, so that was a bit difficult. October 7th, we did the municipal tour where council and staff visited spots around the municipality in preparation for the 2022 budget and reviewed 2021 capital projects. October 8th, on behalf of SCORE, I joined a meeting with the City of London to discuss the possibility of a community transportation hub in the City of London and how it would affect us. 7:30 that evening, I attended the Dolphins game and was honored to do the puck drop and was pleased that I didn't fall on the ice, so that was good. October 12th, County Council, where one of the bigger discussions was about the establishment of the county archive and the pros and cons regarding this. October 15th, I attended a Kettle Creek executive meeting. October 25th, we went back to our own council meeting where the biggest topic was the Elliott Pit. October 26th, we had County Council again, where Thames Centre was highlighted because of the recent announcements by the province to invest in two of our local businesses, the Shogun Mataki Mushrooms and Algonquin Bridge. October 27th, the Women's Caucus meeting to plan for our November 17th event. And November 12th, at noon, I went to the Legion to receive the first poppy, which is always an honor, and I always thank the Legion for inviting me for that. October 28th, I attended the Western Fair AGM, which was a virtual event. October 29th, I had the pleasure of watching Penny Warren and our Senior Center Director, Karen Gress, shaking their brooms and doing a witch's dance, and collected over 300 pairs of pajamas, which will be distributed to needy families in the area. November 1st, I attended a Women's Caucus meeting again. November 3rd, we had a special events meeting where our plans for our Festival of Lights were solidified. I just want to draw your attention that it will be held in a new spot by the pavilion in the park directly behind us here. The starting time is 6:30, and there will be information provided about that. There's going to be hot chocolate, hot cider, Christmas entertainment for all ages, and I think it's going to be an exciting event. And not only do we have things to drink, but we have 6 food trucks joining us, and I think that the change in the way this event's going to be held is going to be making everybody comfortable because there'll be lots of room to spread out. And let's just all hope that the weather's good. So I'm looking forward to that. And that concludes the mayor's report at this time. So now we're moving on to unfinished business. Seeing none, and no notice of motions. Any new business? No. Now we're going to move into closed session. So I have a motion that council move into closed session pursuant to section 2392B of the Municipal Act, being personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees regarding committee appointments. So looking for a motion to go into closed session. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Patterson. All in favor? Okay.
I'll just upload that.
All right, so resuming back into open session, in closed session, we did have a recommendation that the clerk be directed to advertise seeking one community representative for the Thames Center Sports Wall of Fame. Correct? Okay. Now we're moving into bylaws, and the recommended motion that bylaw 85/2021 be given first and second reading only. And that bylaw 84/2021, 86/2021, and 87/21 be approved as presented. So are those two together and then the rest separate, or?
You can do it all together.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll just keep moving through. Bylaw 85/2021 being a bylaw to amend zoning as it relates to lands located at 1274 Shaw Road. And then a bylaw 84/2021 being a bylaw to provide for various fees and charges for the municipality of Thames Center. Bylaw 86/2021 appointments to committees and local boards, and bylaw 87/2021 being a confirmatory bylaw. Looking for a mover, Councillor Patterson.
I'm not moving it, sorry, Mayor.
Okay.
Webb. I'd like them to be all separate, if I could, please. Not
Well,
all together.
is there one that you want to pull out?
14.2 and 14.3.
Okay, so I've just read through, so we have to do them all over again. So I'm gonna, so those are the only two you want to do separate? Okay.
We can just do them all one at a time.
Bylaw 85/2021 be given first and second reading only. Mover, Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Patterson. All in favor? Okay, and then we have recommended motion 84/2021, 86/2021, and 87/21 be approved as presented.
No, I don't want them all together. I want them separate.
Okay, so we're gonna do 84/2021. So moved, Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter. Okay, all in favor? Against? Okay, and now we have, where are we at? 86/2021. So looking for a mover, Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Hunter. All in favor? And opposed? Okay, so moved. 87/2021 be approved as present. So looking for the mover for that. Deputy Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Patterson. All in favor? Okay, so then we have 85/2021 being a bylaw to amend zoning as it relates to lands located at the 1274 Shaw Side Road. We done it. Okay, yeah, you know what? I've got to look at this better now. So what have we got left? We've got 86/21's done, 87/21's done. Good. So we're done all the bylaws. Look at that. So our next meeting schedule, November 22nd, 21 at 5 p.m. And now we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Just a question, Mayor Work.
Yep.
With the Monday, December 13th meeting at 9 a.m., are we adding that or was that already approved back last year?
That was approved last year.
Okay, and the 14th as well?
Yep.
December
All of
14th?
those are listed or approved.
Okay, I had the 20th in my calendar and I missed those 2 days, so I was just curious about that. But thanks for clarifying that.
Well, I'm glad you got them. So again, back to adjournment, and the time is now 2:48 as opposed to the clock here that says 3:48. And so Councillor Hunter, seconded by Deputy Mayor Elliott, all in favor? Okay, so moved.